You're listening to America's Diesel Podcast. Hey everybody, Ben with America's Diesel Fuck, we're gonna start that one over.
Pasta.
Rasta pasta. No, this is the intro. Welcome to America's Diesel Podcast. It's Ben, Mitch, Andrew, Tyler. Corey doesn't have a mic today, but that's okay. Corey says, fuck you, TJ. Welcome to the group. If you need injectors, buy them from Dynamite. Yep. If you need to manual swap anything, talk to Long Range Gear. Let's get this episode going. Logan, this is part 2 for you, man. Talking about Fummins swapping your stuff. Let's talk about some power. So, speed and power.
More power, baby.
More power, baby.
Yeah, more power, baby. So before we get too far into making power, there is one thing we wanted to touch on as far as transmission stuff. And that is, I know that you mentioned putting a ZF6 in there, but there is potentially some positives and things to think about going automatic. And for me, the biggest thing going automatic, I know we have like Captain Manual Swap the World over here, and he's probably going to hate me for saying any of this, but you're probably, like we mentioned before, so the goal, like the best case scenario, find a donor truck. Chances of you finding a donor truck with an automatic compared to a manual, a lot easier and more likely a lot cheaper. And that's basically it. I mean, and you get the idea that putting a manual on a truck is a lot easier than doing an automatic. If you have an automatic OBS that you're thinking about putting this in, it's a lot easier to just kind of go with an automatic. You're not cutting a hole in the floor. You're not removing anything. You don't have to worry about a third pedal. Yeah. It's just making the automatic work in there, which isn't as hard as you think. People swap automatics with Cummins engines in trucks all the time. Yeah. And again, we're not talking about super... And again, as far as I'm concerned, transmissions all have a magical wizard inside of them that do all the work. They're
Nobody
fucking,
knows how they work.
They're black magic to me. I don't know. It's John Elford's world. I don't touch it. Okay.
Yeah.
But the transmissions that you'd more than likely find behind these 5.9s are all going to be 47, potentially 48 RFE, RE, RH, RE. Yeah. And these are not inherently super complicated transmissions. This is a 4-speed transmission. They don't take a ton of electronics, if at all.
Parts are cheap.
It's a 727 designed in the 60s with an overdrive housing bolted to it.
Yeah.
That's literally what it is.
You can find somebody in every county that can fix it, to get you back on the road. That's not the case with manuals. Like, I don't mean to be, talking myself out of business here. But I mean, to be fair, like, if you're going to be building a Fummins truck, like a cool project that's going to look cool and classic, your wife might want to drive it, and maybe she doesn't want to shift gears. So autos they have their place.
And a well-built auto is still fun to drive. Something that locks up when it's supposed to with about 550 horsepower. It's still fun. Yeah. Okay. You still get that thrill.
And you're only talking, again, about 500 horsepower here. So, I mean, there's not much you would need to do to that automatic to make it handle that reliably. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe a valve body and a torque converter, and maybe a fresh rebuild.
Yeah, second gear band and the strut.
A couple other little
the normal
parts,
stuff.
But nothing like, outrageously expensive.
Any good auto trans guy puts all the billet stuff in it anyway. Yeah. He always does the band strut, always does the anchor. Always
the accumulator piston.
A good one does it. Yeah, the pistons, the servo covers, all that. Yep. So I mean, it's not like you're asking for a race trans. It's just a good quality trans builder uses the good stuff.
Yeah.
And since we're dead set on doing a common rail swap, you get a 48.
But here's the thing, though. I do think this kid is thinking about a 12 valve.
I think he is too.
And I think that's what, even though we brought up the common rail thing, even though it would be preferred and way cooler. And funner. But I do think, I mean, you do have some 12 valve parts here. Yep. I think a 12 valve is probably what he was thinking when he was thinking about this.
Most likely.
So
I think we can just give that little nudge, like, common rail is pretty cool.
yeah, for sure.
Well, and that's the whole reason why we talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why, for any of you, I know not a lot of you listeners and maybe been on this show, but if you've listened for a while, you know that we don't start these shows with an outline. Yeah. We have a very loose topic. And we trust that the conversation is going to go where it goes. Yeah. And we know that we trust that we have at least enough knowledge to make sure it goes in the right direction.
Right.
Albeit about Little Mermaid, Bigfoot's dick, whatever.
Don't bring that up.
Oh, man. We haven't talked about Bigfoot's dick in a long time.
I know. Yeah. I'm bringing it up now. Yeah.
There you go.
So if Bigfoot drove a truck with a manual, what transmission would it be?
5600.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that way. Yeah. You don't think it'd be Eaton, man?
No.
No,
man, I don't know.
I'm kind of,
Bigfoot's a big. Okay, now which Eaton?
a 6-speed Eaton, not
Gross.
those stupid 5 speeds. I hate those.
I see him for some reason put a 10-speed no overdrive Eaton in something, so he'd be shifting all the time with his big ass feet
I
and
was
long
saying
arms.
13 speed.
Yeah.
He does kind of got that divorce transfer case vibe.
Yeah, yeah. Banging gears with a red rocket, slapping the steering wheel. You know? Is that the engine? Is that Bigfoot? No one knows.
Yeah.
Well, so what engine does he drive? It's got to be.
It's 12 valve, 100% 12 valve.
Well, if he's got an 8 or big tranny, he's probably got a Detroit.
Yeah, I was gonna say Detroit, baby.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Me and Tyler, we were on the same
I can
level.
see it,
that
okay.
way.
They were like old fucking 2-stroke.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Like,
Have you guys
I'm with
seen
you on
that
that one.
Hoonigan video where he's driving around downtown Tacoma in that it's like the off-road truck or whatever. It's a Sasquatch suit. He's actually ripping around. They shut down the city for the day.
No shit.
I don't know.
Oh.
I've seen that one.
I didn't see that one.
Is it
You guys
old?
are kidding. I mean, I don't know,
There's always
7,
like
8,
the Sasquatch is always like in the video where they're
Yeah.
doing like the stuff.
Yeah, they have. He's
But I've never
no,
seen,
he
like-
steals the truck from the guy. That's what it is.
Oh, it's like the very end of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
in
the
downtown
very-
Tacoma. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
I think he liked that truck. I mean, that was cool. It was a gas.
Wait, so you're telling me Sasquatch stole a truck?
the real Sasquatch.
Yeah, was it like
In
it's a
Seattle.
dent side, isn't it? It's a
we
What?
can't. I guess we can't play it, huh? We can't play it.
it's a dent side
No, you
with
play it up
an EcoBoost. That truck?
No. This is like one of those.
like a
it's
trophy
BJ
truck.
Baldwin's.
trophy truck. Yeah. That's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Sorry, had to go off on that tangent. He seemed to be having a good time, so maybe he's a gasser guy. Who knows?
Look at BJ Baldwin, Hoonigan. Everybody wait while we Google stuff.
Yeah.
I always try to make sure we don't have that weird pause, like as we're all
Yeah.
sitting here watching something. People listening, like, "What the fuck, guys?"
Yeah. that one.
We should. Yeah, we should.
That was 2017. Wow.
It's funny that was a long time ago.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a good. That's a good video.
Yes,
That's a
everybody
really good
go
one.
watch that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good. It's entertaining.
All right. Cool. All right. So let's talk about 500 horsepower 12 valves.
Yeah.
Okay. So your subject matter expert for the moment is going to be Mitch, but
Expert.
also Andrew's got some pretty good. Your comment on his, like I don't mean this in a bad way. I didn't know that you were that in depth with 12 valve stuff.
I like 12 valves.
You did. It
Yeah,
makes,
that was more than I thought you knew too.
I was equally surprised.
Yeah,
I was like,
for
well,
sure.
Yeah, I bug you a lot about common rail stuff because I'm very new to common rails and like, technology like this. You press buttons and it makes things improve.
Yeah,
I
beep
don't.
booping.
beep bop boop.
Yeah.
That's new. 12 valves though. That's my jam. So,
Nice.
Thank you for being so patient with my common rail questions, but yeah,
I got all day.
yeah. For 12 valve stuff, man, Dynamite's got all kinds of goodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have fun stuff. Lenny is a big P pump guy.
Yeah.
He does like his P pumps.
Yeah, I think he owns 3 or 4, which is more than I own, and I own like 2. I thought that was a lot.
I own 2 7.3s.
Right? Mentally ill.
I also have
I was like, that is a lot of stress.
Yeah.
I had to take out a loan to buy oil.
Yeah. Comes in pallet form for
No
Engine-
joke. I just placed an order on our website for oil for my trucks.
Ugh.
Schaefer's.
Engine oil is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About 12 gallons.
So one oil change?
Yeah.
Is that coming in on a freaking tanker
like
ship?
It's
Is that how
actually,
you store it?
technically it's 2 when you account for leakage and burn.
Yeah.
I feel like you should be looking into a 55-gallon drum.
Yeah. Just no kidding.
You should
Okay.
buy it by the tanker ship.
Not going to lie. The 55-gallon drum has genuinely crossed my mind.
Well, it only lasts you 2 months, so
Just put it on an Amazon subscription for every 6 months.
I can just imagine that flatbed coming to drop off at my house.
Yeah.
My neighbors be like, "What the fuck are you doing in there?"
yeah.
Like we see these old trucks coming in and out. What are you doing?
go
in your
inside,
garage
honey.
band?
He's making bombs.
Yeah. They're just dropping off drums of shit.
Homeland Security showing up
Yeah.
at your place. Like, why is this guy buying all this oil?
Sir,
What's
why
he
do you
doing?
have so much ammonia nitrate?
Like, dude, leave me alone. I pay my HOA fees. Fuck off.
You should have a waste oil burner stove in your shop. in your garage.
Well, it doesn't waste any though. It just burns it and leaks it all over Spokane.
I'm just saying, he's got like every time he changes his oil, he's got what 12 gallons.
No, by the time he changes it, there's nothing in there.
Adds oil to it.
Oh yeah, it's that bad, huh?
No.
Just changes the filter every 3,000 miles.
No, legit. Okay, I know, I just joked about it. Legitimately, once I drain the oil, if I drain the filter too, I'm usually about 3.25 gallons. So I burn about, what was that, three quarts every oil change? I don't leak anything.
Yeah.
Is that
So that's the reason why the EPA is on our ass.
What's that? Huh? Couldn't hear you over my injectors.
Yeah. My hearing's a little hard. I've been listening to 7.3s for years.
Sorry. Idle smoothly like a box of rocks.
Yeah.
I'll let them know.
All right, so 12 valves.
Yeah.
What do you got? What'd you bring us? What kind of toys do you have here?
All right. So, easy, obvious stuff.
Yeah.
We got fuel plates. So,
I recommend going with the 0 plate. You just want to take that fucker out.
Yeah.
Okay?
that's
you don't
not
need
a
it.
zero
Take it.
plate.
You don't need to
That
chuck
is
it.
not a 0 plate. Shut your mouth. This is a 0 plate. Okay, you guys on camera can't fucking see that, but it's a 0 plate, trust me. This is I don't know whose this is, but it came out of my pickup, and I was told it was a 0 plate. It looks close to 0. This is a 10 plate, and that is an old school like TS Performance 10 plate. And these are, a 0 plate. Oh, that's where you get your like 100 horsepower stuff. You take this, loosen the screws, slide it to the front of the motor. That gives you all the rack travel that plate will allow, which creates more power, more smoke. And I also have our plate. You still can't see that. It's a little itty bitty profile, but
I can see the difference in profile.
I'll pass it around.
Yeah.
These plates are so incredibly good at controlling smoke and still giving you good power. I pulled the 0 plate out of my pump in my dually, and I swapped it for our DDP's fuel plate, and the smoke control was instantly like 100 times better. Like, it was ridiculous how much cleaner that plate runs. And I mean, a lot of it depends on how you dial into AFC housing. So I went just straight from the plate was slid all the way forward with the 0, and the housing was slid all the way forward, which gives you the most rack travel you can get with the plate and the housing.
This is really nice machining too, like super high quality.
They are very good, yes.
Quick explanation. The lower in a number you go, the more aggressive or the more fueling you get.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
you hear people say like 10, 5, 0, 6, 7, something like that. The lower number you go, the more aggressive the fueling is.
Yes.
I think traditionally, like the number 10 is the really good.
The
It's
number
a good
10
It's a good mid-range, like
it's
all around.
the old school, like they probably sold more of those plates.
We used to sell the shit out of 5s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like our plate is a 3.
Yeah.
So it's super aggressive, but at the same time, it's very controllable on smoke.
Yeah. So the 10 was like good horsepower bump, daily drivable,
Yes.
still not like obnoxious, but
really
like
good EGT control.
Yeah. The 5s were just like speed and power, smoke and power.
Or if you wanted all the smoke, you just yank the plate out, hook it over your shoulder. Please do
cross your
not
fingers.
do that
Yeah.
in a daily driver truck.
Yeah.
Leave the plate in it. Trust me, you can make plenty of power with a plate.
Fuck the plate.
Yeah. I remember guys back in the day getting like
Mitch's gonna stab me in the neck.
well, getting like an illustration of like how to cut their own plates.
Yeah.
And like having a printout and
yeah.
like trying to like
Yeah, when I cut my own plates way back in the day, I would just take it. There's like a shelf, and you just grind that fucker straight off. That's your 0 plate.
That's your 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about those? There's a couple adjustable ones.
Yeah,
Like on the fly adjustable, or you're talking about like
The AFC Live or the
Yeah.
adjuster.
the
two.
AFC
adjuster.
Live stuff it has its place, and it's cool for like, I don't know how to describe it. Essentially, what it does is it just regulates boost that goes to the AFC housing.
Yep.
And it fuels on a regulator. It's neat. If you know how to tune an AFC, it's unneeded.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the one thing I've never played with, and I always kind of wanted to, is the attitude adjuster.
Yeah.
And
That
that
has
is
two
like,
adjusters, doesn't it?
it's
It's just one.
It's one
no,
knob.
it's one that's in the truck. So it's
Okay.
on like a. It's on
Because
like
there was one that had two
cable.
knobs on it.
That's the AFC Live.
AFC, okay, all right.
Well, AFC Live has a switch on the side, which is just a bypass the
party
regulator.
switch.
Yeah, it just bypasses the air regulator.
It's full wide open.
Yep.
I had an AFC on mine, and then Wyatt had the adjuster on his.
What's his name,
I
Tyler?
have a friend.
Tyler coming on the fly.
No,
If
this
you-
is Steve that escaped. Now
Okay.
I got him again.
Damn,
If
he
you
is
listen to the
good at
previous
this.
episode, we're talking about this Fummins Swap Part 1. Tyler's catching flies right now in cups.
He has caught 3 flies in 3 different people's cups.
How did I not know you had this talent? I've known you
didn't
for
know I
10
had
years,
this
man.
I'm really impressed.
I know I don't know what to do.
What'd you
Use
set that-
a
what'd you set
tape,
that
man.
one in
Use a
that one?
towel.
Well,
Figure
Steve
it out.
he
Corey,
already
no.
escaped once on me, and I'm not letting him go this time.
You're my friend.
You're gonna be my friend.
Did you let him out?
Oh, maybe we got it.
Pour a little bit more beer in there so he can have a drink while he suffers.
He's not suffering. He's
I'll-
my friend.
He's probably living his best life. He's towards the top. Don't let him out. I forgot what we were talking about. AFC Live.
Corey's making me
AFC
a
Live,
lib.
yeah.
Yeah.
The adjuster is cool. Wyatt had one. You can turn it all the way down, like shut off your fuel, and then disconnect it. So it's like a cool security feature. Not that really matters, but when he would turn that thing up, man, it would.
Yeah, because it
fucking rock,
takes
but-
it takes place of the fuel plate. So you just fucking
like a
start
cable.
spinning the knob.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it runs a cable which is on a jack screw, which will just run the plate wherever you want it.
Yeah.
So I've never messed with it, but they look cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so if you're just like daily driving or whatever, it's just like turning it down on tune 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. I had the AFC Live. I enjoyed it. It's maybe a little bit hard to kind of tune, but what was really easy was flipping the switch for full power.
Yeah.
That was a good time. But when you were just like towing or something, you could really dial down your fuel to keep your EGTs down. So it was nice. I don't know if it was necessarily worth it, but
I feel like that's all
That's where
all
I'm
of us
at.
really want. They want a party switch.
Yeah.
Like I'm like as you get. I'm not saying we're all old, but like as you get to a certain age, you're like, I get that this truck, like it just needs to drive. That's fine. But I want a full kill party mode when I want a full kill party mode, and I don't need it all the time.
Hey, don't pay attention to me over here, okay? I'm just playing with my friend.
We're over here talking about Fummins swaps and 12 valves, and Tyler's over there worried about a fucking fly.
Oh, don't run away from me. You're mine.
This is my friend. Sorry, guys.
Jesus.
You're all mine.
it was
Did you
kind
get
of
them
nice.
captured? Okay, there you go.
It was kind of nice with the adjustable ones because you would get really used to the low setting, and then you would hit the party switch, and you've done it before, so you knew, but it always felt like a new truck. So that part was cool.
That's cool.
I always just use my right foot as where the party truck engages.
You
or
are
not.
a far more mature individual than I am.
Same. Like we always tell people, they ask us like what tune to put on their trucks and whatnot. I'm like the highest horsepower tune that you feel comfortable having the lightest foot on. And they're always like, I can't do that. I'm like, I can't either. But that's what they tell me. What tune
it's
do you
very
run on?
true.
I
Like-
run on like the 80 to 100 horsepower tune. That's what I run on. So I double my 7.3 horsepower, and I'm fine with that.
Triple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I tried to
Camaro- the
cut
com-
myself
Hey.
down. You just
No.
you
I'm
just had
talking. I am talking, Ben.
you shove your nose in whatever.
I don't know. I run everything on the hottest tune we've got, and then you just drive it with your foot. Like, just learn how to drive a fucking pickup.
He's used to really low horsepower. I know. So he's got to always just get in it.
Right. Like full throttle all the time.
Then when he hops in a truck with real power, he's like, oh my God.
Yeah, but then I have trouble keeping it straight because the steering's fucked.
No, it's because the ass end is coming out of it because you're like, we will hold the power.
I magically have a lisp now.
Full of power.
Jesus Christ. This thing moves. Instead of coming.
The second podcast of the day is always more interesting.
It really is. Certain things start to set in and certain words start coming out a little bit easier. Okay, so 500 horsepower 12 valve, P pump.
Yeah.
Yep.
Number 10 plate.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So is
buy,
that the
buy our
official
plate. Buy our number 3 plate. It's the only one we have. So I mean, if you order a 10 plate, you're getting a 3 anyway. Just order an EDP plate. Trust me. The next thing you should do.
Yeah, the next thing.
Governor Springs.
Governor Springs.
Yeah, I got Governor Springs right here.
Which is almost a have to do on these trucks.
You have to.
Yeah.
Dude, they defuel at 22.5.
Yeah.
They're garbage.
Yeah.
So, I've got in front of me. You guys can't see it. I don't know why I brought this stuff. Andrew told me to.
I like looking at it.
Props are always fun.
Did you get another one?
No, I was close. I was close. Listen, one at a time, baby. We're getting them out of here.
3 4Ks. Yank your stock ones out. They're garbage. And personally, I put 4Ks in everything because just because you have 4,000 RPM doesn't mean you need to use it.
Right.
Like I have 4Ks in my dually, and it never exceeds like 32, maybe. Yeah, probably 32. On our test drive.
Except for our test drive. Yeah.
Test drive was 35. That's when the head gasket said, "No, I'm done." And like it's scary up there. Like that's super fast. So like just throw 4Ks in it. Trust me, you'll be fine. And the driving characteristics of a 4K is super good. Like it's not so light on the throttle like a 5K that it's sketchy, but you get good throttle response. And it just feels right. Like 4Ks is what they should have come with. Like the down low characteristics of a 4K is what they should have come with.
Yeah.
Because they start defueling at 2,008. God dang it, I can't remember.
I thought it was 1850 or something like that.
It's super
yeah.
low. It's like
It's a lot lower than
1900.
you think.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a
It's
lot
like
lower than it should be.
Yeah, and they start defueling like right when that engine wants to start like coming into a power band and make power.
Yeah.
It just yanks it all away from you. So I know for a fact they full defuel at 22.5.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact. And if you go to 3Ks, you gain like in real world, you only gain like 300 RPM.
Yeah.
It's not a lot actually. So if you just skip it, go to 5Ks and 4K. Don't go 5. You guys don't need 5Ks. A 4K is going to get you where you need to be, and it's going to drive great. And just like I said, because you have 4,000 RPM capable, doesn't mean you need to use them.
Yeah.
If you do
I've had to
plan
explain
on
it to
using
some,
them,
yeah.
if you do plan on using them, you need valve springs.
Yes.
Because you will float the shit out of the valves over 3,200. So
Yeah. And the cost difference for going to a 3 to 4 is like not even there. There's like nothing
Oh,
there.
it's zero.
We sell a kit. Yeah. It's at zero. Yeah. Most kits. Yeah.
3, 4. So let me see that real quick,
It's
Andrew.
the same
sorry.
kit, right? Which
It's
is
the
about
same kit. That's a 3K, has 2 springs. Put the small spring in it, now it's a 4K.
Right.
We sell a 3 4K. So if you buy Dynamites, this is what you get.
Yeah. I think there's one company that still sells just a 3K kit.
I think it's BD.
I think it's BD.
BD sells.
No.
pretty
They
sure
sell
it's
3
BD.
and 4K.
Okay.
Same with
Here,
Pack
I know
Break. Pack Break does a 3 and 4K.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So if you plan on spinning it, you need to plan on valve springs.
Yep.
60-pound valve springs are good. If you can swing a little bit extra money, get the conicals, the beehives, the street bees. Like Hamilton makes them. Peak.
I know, Peak and Pack Break both make
I think they're both
springs
60s.
Those are
though.
60s.
Those are
Okay,
60s.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are 60s.
I think Hamilton's
Power
pretty much our
driven.
go-to.
The
for
Hamilton
all
is
that,
the one, yeah.
Yeah, Hamilton's got their street conicals and they're beehives.
Yeah.
And then Power Driven sells a conical. They sell a street conical and a competition conical.
Yeah. See,
And,
he actually even posted a parts list, and he has the Hamilton Cam's Beehive
yeah,
spring kits.
yeah, those are perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you guys want to go over 3,200 RPM, you need, because you will float valves, and in a diesel, trust me, on a Cummins especially, you will smack those valves with the piston, and they do not like it. Like, I've seen witness marks all over pistons.
Yeah.
So, yes, valve springs, yes,
Yes.
you need them.
Yeah.
But, having said that, do not go and put the really big ones. You do not. He's catching another one. Oh my god!
This guy
Freaking fly sensei. But do not put like the 165 pound, which are like the competition valve springs.
Too much.
Too much. Too
Because
far.
if you put those in and you try and daily it, your chances of the camshaft eating the cam journals in the block like go through the roof because like you've got so much spring pressure that's going back through a lever, going down the push rods, and now that's pushing on the cam. And your cam in a Cummins does not have bearings. It has one up front. Depending on your engine, it has one in the back. So it's just riding on a film of oil, and you've got enough spring pressure there to actually shove the cam into the block, and it'll eat the block up.
Yeah.
So buy what you need. Don't go overboard on valve springs because it will bite you in the butt.
Yeah. And again, we're talking for 500 horse, like not necessary.
Yeah, like
you can
500
just
horsepower.
4K kit, 60-pound
60s,
springs, call it a day. You're fine.
Exactly. Speaking of like a stock cam, it's fine. A stock cam is going to get you there all day long. If you had money burning a hole in your pocket, you could put a 178 208. It doesn't take the RPM range and move it up so far that you're out of the like range of power of a 12 valve.
Oh, it's a 188 220. I'm thinking.
Yeah. So he picked a 188 220, which is way too big. Like that moves your RPM range up. Like I don't think those start making power till 2,500 or 2,500 RPM to 45. I think is what Hamilton claims.
That is, well, we usually use them on common rail trucks, but that's our go-to cam on pretty much everything.
Is it really?
But
See,
those heads will flow a lot more though.
Exactly. See, on even our common rail builds, we put 180, 182. Or 178,
208.
We put the small one in ours. Yeah. We don't put 188.
That's what do they call it? That's not the
towing.
DPF saver, but what do they call it? Hamilton calls it. He calls it like the.
Let me look it up real quick here.
There was a name for it.
Because the 188 208 is the same one. That's what we have in the
in the
007 truck.
Yeah,
I think it's what we have in the Mega Cab too.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty. It's I don't think you guys have a 188 220 in a truck. Well, at least that I've.
In 07, 007
Yeah.
there is.
It is.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought that was a small one.
No, any of the cams that have gone in here.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a 188 220.
188 220.
See, we go the other way. We put the small ones in.
Yeah. So,
178 208 street cam. They refer to it as.
I thought they had a name for it.
I don't know if I've ever seen a name.
I thought it was just their towing cam or towing.
Yeah, I think they call it
this cam will help drastically reduce exhaust gas recirculation and provide more fresh, cool air for your engine. That means less particulate matter, lower EGTs, and better fuel economy.
Well, okay, maybe I saw that
12
somewhere
valve
else.
doesn't have any of that. So
Yeah. Hey, 12 valve can get some good fuel mileage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You get some killer fuel mileage.
I mean, out of my 2-wheel drive, I can pull like 22, as an average.
Yeah,
pretty easily.
It's an easy trap to fall into, but like with a 5.9 with a low flowing head, if you start stepping up your cam size at all, displacement and CFM flow will basically cut off your power on the low end and move it up higher. So even if the 188 cam is only 2 steps above stock, putting it in a 5.9 12 valve with a low flowing head means you're not going to get anything usable out of that thing till like 20, like you said, 2,500 RPM.
Yeah.
But the same cam in a larger or a better flowing induction setup will keep that power low. So that's why all of us that chimed in on that post when he said a 188 cam, we're like, no, that's going to move it up way too high. If you want this to be a daily driver or a practical use vehicle, you need to stick with a smaller cam. If you're missing a nice flowing head or something like that. So
yeah,
the stock cams are more than capable of pulling excellent power. Don't freak out about that.
There's guys like Josh McCormick. I've seen him. He's made over 1,000 horsepower on a stock cam.
Yeah,
like a stock cam is fine. Like it's not, and it's not like a gas engine either. Like you throw a cam in it and you're like, oh, it's gonna sound cool. It's just like no, it sounds like a Cummins. But it just moves your RPM range so far up. And then you have to also think like on a 12 valve, your RPM range, like your power band, think of it like a 2-stroke dirt bike. Like your RPM range is 800 RPM, and it doesn't matter where it starts. Like if it starts at 1500 RPM, your power band ends at 2300.
Yeah.
Okay. Now if you just move and say you put a cam in it and say you're like, okay, now it's gonna start making horsepower at 25. That 800 horsepower window is still there.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't broaden the window of horsepower.
Yeah.
It just moves it from where you want it to be. So like I run a 188 220 in the race truck with a ported head and everything. That truck doesn't come alive till like 2700 RPM. And then it stops making power at 3600.
Yeah.
And what about your timing setup on that too?
So that'll
affect it.
That timing setup, that truck is at 25.5 degrees.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad. And I got it to where it was making as much power as it could. So it was 600 horsepower. And then I started playing with timing and I gave it 2 degrees until it stopped making power. So I started at 20, gave it 22, 24, 26. At 26 degrees of timing, it lost 3 RPM. So I backed it down 1 degree, and that's just where it's happy at. So it's happy at 25.5-ish degrees of timing. Yeah. So like your daily driver stuff, I wouldn't exceed 18.
Yeah.
Because then at 18, you still get cold start reliably.
You lose a lot of drivability real quick.
You do. And then so your cold start's still there, and your cylinder pressure isn't through the roof. Mm-hmm. You start getting into a lot of advanced timing and your cylinder pressure starts going through the roof. Cylinder pressure is what blows head gaskets, causes lots of
fun things,
temperatures. Yeah, not good stuff.
Well, speaking of timing.
So speaking of timing, so if a guy was so inclined to do so, this is an adjustable P-pump timing gear. This is, I believe this is a Scheid. So if you take this little screw out, so this gear is really cool if you're like at the track and you don't have your dial indicator, because so say we start at this hole right here. So it screws in. So now we want to give it 2 degrees of timing. So you pull this little screw out and you just bump the gear, move it 1 hole over. You just gave it 2 degrees of timing or retard. Cool. So these are pretty cool.
I want that.
Yeah.
The only problem with an adjustable gear is you have to have a timing cover that allows you to get to it. There's a handful of companies that make billet ones, which if you're on a budget, a billet front timing cover is not really on the table, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, because, it's
I agree.
$600.
Yeah.
You don't really need it. But having said that, there are a few companies, and I'm pretty sure one of them is T-Rex Fab, which is up in northern Idaho. He actually will take a a stamped steel one, and he'll put a removable cover so you can get to it. And I want to say those are $200 to $300.
That's cool.
Yeah. So like it's not off the table. And there's a handful of companies that make them. Like this is a Scheid. This one's got Allen bolts, and it's got this little 2 degree set bolt in it. I personally run a power driven one, and it's just what I got.
Yeah.
It doesn't use the little 2 degree pin. So every time I have to mess with timing, it's either I have a degree wheel that goes on the front balancer and I can degree wheel it, or it doesn't take me very long to pull a delivery valve and use a dial indicator.
Yeah.
And then I can advance it, to like point would be 0.002 of a millimeter, and that's essentially 2 degrees.
Yeah. I mean, but for a guy, again, I keep just going back to the guy for like 500 horsepower. He's probably going to set it to that 17, 18 degrees.
Yeah, like
call it a day.
I would set it at 18 and call it a day.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to mess with it.
Yeah.
Like the adjustable stuff is if you're drag racing or you're sled pulling,
that is handy.
It's super handy because when you're making that kind of horsepower and you're constantly changing where you're at in like elevation and stuff, you can, if the truck feels light on power and you're like, man, the EGTs are high, I bet if I give it 2 degrees, I'm gonna see if it cools off.
Yeah.
And if it cools off, you're like, fuck yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it another 2
Yeah.
and see what the temperature does. If it keeps cooling off, I'm gonna keep giving it timing.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start seeing it like getting hot, it's like, okay, I'm gonna pull 2 out of it.
Yep.
And that's gonna be the sweet spot for today.
Yep.
So
no, those are
adjustable
cool.
timing gears are cool.
Yeah, they are cool.
Not
I like
necessary
that
for
one with the preset, like because that makes it so freaking
it's really cool because you don't need anything. You can be like, I'm gonna give it 2 degrees, see what it does.
Yeah.
Because I always move by 2.
Yeah.
Because if you go by 2, if you go by 1, it takes forever.
Right.
So if you
and
go
you're
by
doing
2,
it a lot.
Yeah, you go by 2, and then you'd be like, okay, I hit the threshold of where it's happy. Now I just go back 2, and that's where it's going to be money. Like that's its sweet spot.
Yep.
So yeah.
No, those are cool.
Yeah, there's a handful of places that make timing gears. They're not cheap. That's why I say they're really not necessary, because I think even the power driven one, which is I think it's the cheapest one on the market, it's still $300-400.
Yeah.
Like just
so it's either invest in something like that, or get it. Well, you should get a tool anyways if you're going to be working.
Well, you should have a
you
tool.
should have
Yeah.
a tool anyways. So I guess you're investing in both. So I guess
Yeah, but buy the tool, the press, the little puller. Because if you buy the universal one, because it'll pull VE, P, VP, and common rails.
Yep.
So spend $20, get the universal one. I mean, my stuff's all the Snap-on, but I mean, Amazon, you can get them for $20 off Amazon.
Yeah.
They will break.
They will break.
They will break.
Okay.
Yeah, we carry the torque tools.
Oh, the torque tools ones. Yeah,
Torque tools
those are
good.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do those.
I broke an Amazon one.
Fair enough. I've always had my
times.
Snap-on one, so I can't say.
For the guy who's just trying to hit like 500 easy horsepower, that power-driven little wheel thing, popping off a stock gear and using their little wheel on your dampener is
It's
good enough.
The degree wheel is $20. It's gonna get you close enough. Like inherently, you're gonna be off by with gear lash and everything. You're gonna be off by a degree or two.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're gonna be close enough.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you go to DDP's website and you go to our injectors and you say, so for 500 horsepower, I would tell you go buy stage 2s. Go on our website. Stage 2s will tell you recommended timing 17 to 18 degrees. So if you buy stage 1s, which are, I want to say like 4 to 450 horsepower injectors, that's going to tell you 16 to 17. So, I mean, obviously there's a step, 16 to 17, stage 1, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then once you go, beyond that, you get into custom stuff, then
The super metals.
you got to figure it out yourself. Put the thing on a dyno and figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Hell yeah.
timing's the other nice thing. I forgot about this. The other nice thing about an adjustable gear is it's actually keyed to the shaft. So from factory, Cummins does not key the gear onto the shaft. It's just a tapered shaft that uses torque to hold it on there.
Yeah.
So if you are not going to use an adjustable gear with a keyway and you're just going to use a shaft taper fit, clean the shaft with non-chlorinated brake clean. Clean the ever-living dog shit out of it. You can't have oil in there. Clean all the oil out.
You don't want that baby slip timing.
No. Blow it out. Take compressed air. Clean compressed air, not wet.
Yeah.
Clean it out. Blow the shit out of it. And, dude, brake clean 3 or 4 times. I don't care how long it takes. If you see oil coming out, keep cleaning.
Change your oil afterwards.
It's the top
too
end
much.
cleaner.
Yeah,
It's the top end
Some
cleaner.
guys,
Yeah,
some guys are like, I don't want to spray all those chemicals and stuff in my engine, in my oil.
Yeah, because
Just change it
it's
afterwards.
going
like,
straight into the sump.
yeah,
Yeah.
what you would hate more than changing your oil is slip timing.
Yeah. So like I see it all the time on Facebook. Guys be like, "Hey, does anybody know why my truck's white smoking and doesn't make any power?" It's like, did you just adjust timing? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
You
There you
slipped
go.
it. Go
Pull
back,
your-
do it again.
Yeah.
Pull your timing cover off, fix your KDP, and then use some red pad on both the output or the shaft from the pump and on the inside of your gear. That seems to help me.
Yeah.
You know
You know
a
what the
little-
torque is for the nut?
It's supposed to be 160, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Or
So it's
180.
funny. It depends on like what source you look at. So like Dodge says 144, Cummins says 160.
Yeah.
So I used to do 144. I never had a problem, and I started working for Lenny. Lenny's like 160. I was like, okay, 160.
Send it. Yeah.
I've never had one slip. You do. I have. So I take it back. I've had one slip, and that was at 144, and I didn't get it clean enough.
Yeah.
So go through 160. Make sure it's clean. Like when I say clean, I'm not kidding. Clean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then you'll never have an issue.
Yeah.
Because when you put the little puller on it, and if it just like you put a couple turns on the bolts and it pops, it was getting ready.
Yeah.
But if you have to like pull it off,
Yeah.
it was on there good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So he does actually have stage 2s in his parts list
Perfect.
here for Dynamite.
That's-
So he did a good job.
That's my
specking out
500
there.
horsepower recipe is stage 2s.
Yeah. He does also have, and this is again, we've kind of, you don't have to do a cam, but if you
Correct.
are going to do a cam, obviously you're going to be doing tappets,
Yes.
doing push rods.
If you're doing it in truck, it's going to be a bad day. Trying to put tappets in an engine in truck, not recommended.
I've watched Cooper do that.
There is a Cummins and several other people make a special little tool to do it. You have to have a little tray that fits into the cam journal that holds your tappet, And then you have to drop like a little magnet on a string through everything down, try and catch that tappet, pull it up.
Let's be honest. Everybody's Cummins is leaking. Just tell them to pull it out and
Right.
reseal everything.
Well, the thing is, this is an engine swap. The engine's going to be out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Do your fucking due diligence.
So if your engine is out, tear it down, please.
Yeah.
You will thank me if you pull that thing down, pull the head off of it real quick, check the cross hatching. Is the cross hatching good? Put a head gasket in it.
Yeah.
Send it.
Yeah.
Does it need machine work?
Is there racing stripes down your cylinders?
Yeah. Are you buying this from some guy that's been sitting on a pallet?
Yeah.
Are you buying it running? If you're buying it running from a truck, get it warm. Check your blow-by. Check your blow-by when cold. Like, do everything right to make sure you're not buying a project for your project.
Yeah.
Or if you want a project for your project, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But, yeah, to put a cam with tappets in an engine in truck, it will be the least fun thing you do of that whole thing.
Yeah. I would say I think that's why he meant, now that where I'm kind of putting the pieces together, I think if he's going to have the engine out, I think that's why he was thinking cam. Because if there's any time to do it, it's going to be then.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's, yeah.
Anytime like mid-engine swap or whatever, I always basically tear them down to a long block. Minus, I pull the cam out too, because that cam journal, you'd be surprised how worn out they are after 300,000 miles or whatever. And they're super cheap to swap. But, you can put them on an engine stand, flip them over so that you're not spilling your tappets everywhere. You can take your time and seal everything up real nice. Set your timing where you want. Get your fancy cam if you want to do that.
Yeah, and you can buy a full reseal kit. I don't know, like $400 or $500.
Yep.
Yeah, relatively
That is cheap. And then you can have a 12 valve that doesn't leak,
Yeah.
Hey,
Which is a really nice feeling.
which is very nice. Yeah.
Most auto parts stores carry all the, stuff
Diesel
you can
Power
use.
Products carries them.
I'm just saying, if you were but I'm just saying, if you were in a pinch, like if you were like, oh, I yanked this 12 valve out, my oil pan is, leaking everywhere, and Diesel Power Products isn't open. Any auto parts store has
the
all this
internet's
stuff.
24 hours a day, by the way.
And I don't know about you. I like to use silicone.
Right
But-
stuff, yeah.
But, I'm going to put this but. There is too much silicone.
Yes, there's.
I could
Dude.
go on
Okay.
a tangent.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you cut the little tip off of the squeeze bottle, you can go small. It doesn't need to be big. You lay a nice tiny like 1/8 inch or smaller bead. And then I do it. I spread it.
Yeah.
I spread it.
I spread it, put the gasket on, and then put another layer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I do it. And I guarantee you, my engines don't leak oil.
Yeah.
And there's a really crazy thing. Separate from that little tip, they have a cap. So you don't have to use
You
the
can
whole
put
tube.
it back on?
You can
Yeah.
put the cap
And
back
save
on.
it.
Shut up.
No way.
It's a thing, man.
I just figured they made all their surfaces big enough to cover to have one RTV like that, like a rear diff.
You're
That's
a power stroke guy. Those engines are assembled with RTV, no gaskets. Like I've built them. I built a 7.3, and that freaking gasket kit had 3 gaskets and a tube for a caulking gun to seal the motor.
Yep.
Damn it!
Well, that's where they decided to save money instead of trying to make a whole bunch of different gaskets.
Right.
You know what's a lot cheaper than 17 part numbers and 17 gaskets?
Yeah.
One tube.
You're like, hey, we changed so much stuff. We have so many part numbers.
Yeah.
We're running out of money. Fuck the gaskets.
What's funny is
We
like
ain't even got exhaust manifold gaskets. Maybe we can give
I
that.
built that 7.3, and then I took that tube and probably assembled like 5 Cummins with that tube.
Probably did.
I swear to God, it was so much extra silicone. It was ridiculous.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So other stuff on his, let's talk about air. So he does on his parts list have a BD 3-piece, obviously second gen style manifold. He's got a
Nothing wrong with it.
Banks twin ram intake, and then a Super B 361. So an SXE style charger with a 361.
I've never ran the BD Super B, so I can't say.
Well, they're just using it's
the-
just an SXE basically.
What's the exhaust
I'll find out for
turbine?
you right now.
What's
I think it's
turbine housing?
I think it's 0.80.
No, the turbine
Size.
inducer. Yeah.
I don't remember.
I'll
I
find
don't
out.
remember.
So if I tell somebody my recipe is a 62, 65, 14, That's my recipe for a turbo.
Really?
I want to say it's something
it's
in the
like
70s.
Yeah, super snappy. Because you can get a 12 too.
Yeah.
But the 14 is super snappy. I'm a big fan. I like the 14, and you can with the 14 you can keep down your drive pressure a little bit better too. Because I've learned by running the race truck on the dyno for like a month how much drive pressure a 12 valve head produces, and it is a lot. So
it is a 6176 with an 8.0 exhaust housing, 0.8 exhaust housing.
76 for the exhaust
turbine.
For the turbine.
That's huge.
X
Yeah,
juicer.
I was gonna say that's
huge.
That's big. I don't know. I've never ran one, so I can't say.
They say it's rated for 500.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I ran a 62.5, 67, 12 with my 12 valve that had 5x14s and AFC Live, and that fucker was an awesome little combo.
Yeah.
76 is pretty big.
That's
but
what. That's,
at the same time,
but
it's
a
a 61.
Small, It's a small AR too.
Yeah, very. Yeah.
It's a very tight housing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to keep spool up and drive pressure down with a big turbine, small housing.
It could be. I don't know. Like I said,
What's
I've
your-
never ran one.
What's your thoughts on the twin ram? I have no experience with those, and you work on with a dyno every day. So
I
what's your
run
experience?
one. I don't run the banks. I run I think it's a pusher. It's the exact same dimensions.
Yeah.
Um,
One thing about Banks, I didn't realize this, but did you know on the tape of their box, it has a quote from Ricky Bobby?
no way.
It says literally
up.
on every Banks box, it says, "If you ain't first, you're last." Ricky Bobby in quotes. I
want to
tell
see
you
that
what,
now.
I will go grab a fucking box right now.
There you
Show
go.
you.
So the
Take a
last
break
time,
from catching all these flies.
yeah, the last time I opened up a box from Grandpa, it was a 6.7 intake manifold, and they take the approach of like last time you opened like an Apple product or something like that.
Yeah.
The unboxing process is supposed to be part of the process of buying the part. It's supposed to be very happy. Every box that you open has a quote, has a picture, has something.
On every box.
Yeah, it says with a checkered flag,
shit.
warning, this product will expose you to performance known by the state of California to cause winning or other euphoria. In quotes, if you ain't first, you're last. Ricky
I've
Bobby.
never seen
Isn't that the
that.
most amazing shit ever?
That's pretty good.
Like,
Well, and look at
scale.
the bottom of the box. Bottom, flip over carefully.
Yeah.
You literally can't fuck this up. And every label, like I'm talking, every flap of the box has something on it to tell you what's going on.
Fair enough.
Like they really, it's thought out, very much so. But I personally, I like the idea of a twin ram intake manifold from Banks.
Yeah, I
think
mean,
it's pretty cool.
the idea is
more air.
Yeah, the idea
and evenly
is
spread.
Exactly, is you can move your air back to cylinders. I think it comes in at 4. The rear one. So normally you come in at like 3. The back one moves it closer to 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a better distribution back to 6, because 6 is always going to be your hot cylinder because it's the furthest away from any sort of intake, and the intake shelving on the head is terrible flow to 6 and 1. Like it's bad.
Yeah.
So the only way to fix that is to cut it off, but to band-aid it, you can run the twin ram, and I have the same thing on our race truck. It's not a Banks, but same concept.
Is it? Have you seen that one where basically it ties into the rear? There's a bung inside.
Pusher makes
pusher,
that
that
for
little
the
tube
common
thing that
rail.
goes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
one.
it goes into on a common rail. You've got that rear freeze plug in the shelf.
Yeah,
you pop
that's
that
what
and
it
it
was.
goes into that. I don't
My opinion
know.
on it,
I'd-
fucking ugly as shit. Like that is so terrible.
Well,
it
it
looks
looks a little
homemade.
bit.
It
It's
looks
like
homemade.
1
It
inch or
does.
3/4.
Yeah, it looks homemade.
I mean, if the whole system is under pressure boost,
Yeah.
then in theory, yes, it's going to work because it's. But at the same time,
It's
if
not
it's
the
under
risk of being
pressure,
made fun of, though.
yeah.
Like,
Well, but at the same time, so if your whole intake system is pressurized, right? Okay, you're not going to have any less pressure in the back than you are going to have in the front.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same. It's 60 psi no matter where you test it in the head.
Right.
So, I mean, what does that stupid little 1-inch pipe? I don't know. I don't know if they sell that anymore.
I hope they don't.
I think that was like a.
I saw
It'd
it
be
somewhere.
a volume thing.
It was, dude. It was
Yeah,
so
but
ugly.
it's like inch or maybe inch. Like
I agree.
How much
It's
volume
not.
can you flow
You would
through that?
ideally want 2 equal sized. Anywhere you.
yes,
what I've learned about laminar flow and all that kind of pressurization and volume, all that kind of stuff, you want the path of least resistance the whole way through, and you want even pressure everywhere you can get it.
Yes.
So having a normal like grid heater sized hole and then a 3/4 inch hole randomly somewhere over there, you're not working.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
ain't worth it. Yeah, not even a
So
little bit.
yeah, so you can do a twin ram. I mean,
I like the idea of a twin ram.
The
We've
the
never
Banks-
had a call back on
the
them.
Banks one. I feel like that one's kind of it's expensive. Like they don't
You
give
can-
them away.
You can definitely hit 500 horsepower without it,
Yeah.
Oh, you can go all day long on a stock
Easily.
horn.
Yeah.
but they
But
look-
I
they
like the
look cool
idea
as
of EGT control as far as having that volume to work with, especially if you're trying to have something that's real perky and snaps up real fast, being able to move that air.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's
gonna be
face
a
it
good
too.
thing.
It does look pretty cool under the hood.
It
Oh,
does.
I
When you pop the hood, I mean, it's a cool looking intake.
There's
it
the cool
is.
factor coming
Yeah,
back
yeah,
around.
cool factor.
But then in a power stroke, or not a power stroke, in an OBS truck, will that horn fit?
Yeah.
Oh, it does. I don't know.
I can't imagine it wouldn't.
because I don't know if it gets interference with the main of the
The cowl.
brakes. No,
Brake
the
booster.
Oh, the
booster.
Actually, I think the truck I saw today had one of those on.
Did it?
At
Okay.
your party.
See, I don't know.
Almost
That's
positive
why
it
I'm
does.
just
I don't
throwing it
know
out
either.
there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Otherwise, just
Fuck brakes.
convert to Hydro Boost. Yeah, fuck brakes too.
You don't need brakes.
Speaking of brakes,
You got 6-speed. Slow down with that.
yeah. Speaking of brakes, if you are actually planning on doing this and you're towing with it, you should really look into a disc brake conversion for that 10 1/4 Sterling.
Yeah,
Just saying.
yeah.
Because drum brakes ain't doing you no fucking favors.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. So yeah, the turbo, I like that. I like.
I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work.
I do see what you're saying though about having. You said a 14
Uh,
cylinder housing.
Yeah, 14 centimeters is what I recommend.
That's pretty tight. I like that.
Yeah.
I do like the fact this is a gated turbo.
Guys, I just want you to know there's 2 drunk flies flying around now because they somehow keep escaping. I don't know how they're.
You're crazy, Tyler.
It's not a watertight seal on
Yeah.
your cup.
It's freaking fun.
It's gaff tape. I don't know how they're making it out.
I don't either.
Houdini.
just a trip to the bar and then
One
Yeah.
did pass away. Rest in peace, Jeff.
Yeah, I like
Sorry,
the idea
buddy.
of having a wastegate on there, especially mechanically actually a wastegate.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the wastegate.
So
Don't
yeah,
pinch it
I
off.
like that. Let's see what else is on that
nice
list
to have.
here.
I don't think he had a clutch on that list.
You did not.
Those are unnecessary. You don't need clutches.
Yeah.
Stock is fine.
Damn it. Yeah, I mean, otherwise your parts list is very valid there. So I think you're on the right path, Logan. If this is what you're doing, getting that 500 usable horsepower 12 valve, very doable. Oh, fuel supply. You guys, he originally had a fast on there. You guys were talking about
Just
doing
run
a
the
different-
stock.
Yeah, stock
Yeah.
mechanical pump with a different spring in it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Big block spring?
comp cams. I think it's 903 or 907. It's a big block Chevy valve spring. You can buy them for like $4.
So I got a question on that because the mechanical pump, the spring and the plunger for that, and the mechanical fuel pump.
The lift pump.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's for the return of the plunger.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it is because compression is from the lobe.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it just returns it. So what would be the point of putting, I mean, unless your spring is weak.
I don't know,
Would
it's like
there-
a fancy valve spring control. I don't know.
Right. But I'm just curious as far as, because it's not necessarily going to make any more
I don't know.
pressure.
I've never looked into why.
Because Josh asked me Josh asked me a question on this, and I looked into it and I was like, wait a second, that plunger, the spring that's in there is only used to bring the plunger back to the cam, and then it pushes, and it's only going to go so far, right? So even putting like any higher pressure spring or anything in there, it's just going to speed up.
Yeah, I have no idea.
If it's lacking already as far
Well, I
as
guess-
it pushing back up against. I could see maybe under like higher RPM.
And that's the
For-
conclusion you and I both came
and
to.
that's
Like,
what we
if
came
it was
to, 'cause
floating, then yes, you would have no pressure
Right.
under higher RPM or lower pressure, but a stiffer spring would allow it to return to the cam.
Because it's not
lobe on the
regulated by
cam.
spring
because
pressure.
Nothing says that it's increasing volume or pressure. So I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
I think if,
I've never
I'm
done-
curious about that
I've never
because
done
Josh
it.
brought it up and I was like, wow, I've never really heard of like a performance spring for the factory lift pump. And then when I really started looking at it, I was like, well, I don't think, like, how could there be if it's, I mean, unless the spring is weak
I
or it's
and
just
it's floating.
yeah. I think getting more time, like if it retracts like along the profile of the cam instead of floating, it gives it more time to fill the chamber before compressioning. Right?
Okay,
Phil.
that makes sense.
That's
Yeah.
I mean that's what I don't know. I read that somewhere else and I used it and it works fucking great. So what I did, and I typed it out in response to this, is I like bean sumps. I use them in everything. And then I just run a good push lock setup, a 1/2-inch push lock setup. You can get AN fittings to the factory lift pump, bypass the heat.
The heater bowl.
Just cut that shit off. Or you can buy the little spacers to take its place.
Yeah.
For very cheap. The big block Chevy spring in the factory, like there's different types of the factory Cummins lift pumps. I forgot what the number is for like the slightly higher flowing one, but if you can find that, that's great.
Yeah. But for 500 horsepower, the stock one's fine.
Yeah,
it'll do it all day long.
A Torque Tech overflow valve set properly, and I even use the factory line from the lift pump up to the filtration block.
Yeah, it's 3/8.
Yeah, I think it's smaller. Right?
I think it's the factory line is smaller than 3/8.
Yeah, I think it's like
5/16. Slightly smaller. Yeah,
it kind of had me worried there after running this big ass 1/2-inch line to my lift pump and then this dinky little. I was like, oh, we'll see what happens. Well, I mean, it supported 500 horsepower just fine, but the I put spacers underneath the filtration mounting block there, and you can run a higher micron or a better filtration, I guess, a taller filter to get a little bit better filtration, and then Vulcan Performance is I think the name. They make a dual feed line for your P pump, and with the Torque Tech overflow valves, you're dynamite fancy 4Ks and it'll rip, man. They're so much fun. Like I dailied one and used one for a long time, and if you have a manual, it's probably a little bit more fun because you can obviously manually control your shift points and everything like that. The higher RPM fun doesn't seem to affect it as bad. With an auto, you gotta like stack your converter with it. Like you gotta make sure everything works together.
It's all gotta be together.
But if you have a manual, like
if you really want to party, then you put 5,000 RPM governor springs in it. Then you can party. Because the Cummins at 5,000 RPM sounds amazing.
It does.
They do.
But you need to have all the parts behind it.
Exactly.
So at 500 horsepower, I would highly recommend you go head studs.
He does have head studs on the list. Yeah.
Okay, that was on there. Good. Yeah. You can get away with it, but for how long?
Wouldn't recommend it. Yeah. Especially if you're going to have the engine out of the truck.
Yeah.
Even if you're not doing a cam, for some reason, if you're not tearing it down, you should still be doing it's
I would do head studs if I was building it for 400 horsepower.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Like I was
put head studs in it. Bite the bullet. They're not terribly expensive. They're very good insurance.
Yes.
You will need to machine your rocker pedestals or buy the pre-made ones, but
there's a handful of places that you can buy them machined. I used to take it to a machine shop, just a little one-guy machine shop. He'd charge me $100 to cut them.
Yeah.
So if you know somebody with a Bridgeport, there you go.
Yeah.
And the ARP actually comes with the cut dimensions, how much to take out of them. So
any machine shop can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. If they tell you that they can't do it, then to go find a new machine
then they
shop.
can't do anything.
Yeah.
Because that's like the simplest of tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got himself pretty set up here.
Yeah. What was there anything we didn't like discuss on there?
He's got
some rack plugs over there.
Some rack plugs.
Yeah.
You don't need rack plugs for that kind of power.
Yeah.
I mean, you could put it in it. Like, so
if the pump's off and you're not taking the pump off.
Yeah, exactly. If the pump is off or you have the gear case off, go ahead and just put one in it.
Yeah, they're cheap.
They're super cheap.
Yeah.
And so your stock plug allows 19 millimeters of rack travel. So rack travel is how far the plungers rotate in the barrels, which translates to fuel duration delivered to injector. Is that everybody following?
Yeah. I'm following, yeah.
Okay. So 19 millimeters rack travel, stock. Okay, take that out, huck it over your shoulder. Buy ours. This allows 24 millimeters of rack travel. So that doesn't sound like a lot.
It's 5 better.
But in P-pump world...
What the hell, man?
Christ, he caught another one.
It's the
Jason Bourne.
That was the slowest, just like...
That fly didn't even try to escape.
You're mine. No, I'm good. I got
We're trying to get some real scientific shit about millimeters here, and Tyler's over here catching flies with the slowest hand possible.
So in P-pump world, everything's measured millimeters. So if you can gain 5 millimeters of rack travel, I don't know what the exact equation comes out to for power, but it's a lot. That's a...
Well, it just doesn't hinder you later on either. Should you decide you want to turn this thing up at all?
Because I mean, because realistically, can you see
where it's hidden?
Yeah, you could. So even on a stock, this one you can't see, but you can normally. So when you pull one off and look inside of it, you can see an L that's like stamped in it. Mm-hmm. That's from the rack hitting that. So even in factory form, it'll hit this, and that'll restrict on how much fuel, because that's just. If this is restricting the rack travel. So you give it a few more millimeters and you would be very impressed on how much more fuel that actually provides. And on a 215 plunger, which has retard notches, technically they are an advanced notch. You gain, let me try and remember. You gain 1 degree of timing for every 2 millimeters of rack travel beyond a certain point. Mm-hmm. So on a 215 plunger, which is the notch top, you actually gain up to 10 degrees of dynamic timing with a plug in it, which in a 12 valve is a metric ton of timing. Mm-hmm. So it kind of puts you into the like common rail world where you start off low timing, and as you build RPM and boost, it starts ramping in timing. With the right fuel, the right rack plug, and everything set up right, you can actually achieve the same thing.
Doesn't the 215 don't those pumps have a larger rack plug?
Nope.
I thought they had a
They're all
larger
the same.
one. I thought it was like 21 or something like that.
No, they're the same. They're all the same rack plug.
Yeah, this is
to my knowledge.
This is substantial.
I thought they're all the same.
If somebody knows different, let me know.
Yeah,
but they're the same to my knowledge.
Yeah, this is a substantial jump there.
It's a lot. So I mean, when everything in a P pump is measured by millimeters, and like when you do timing is measured by 1/10 of a millimeter. 1/10? No, 100th. 100th of a millimeter?
I think it's
100th.
That's
It's
really
the second
small.
decimal point.
Yeah.
So it's 100th of a millimeter is how you start dialing in. Like, so when we say that, you've got a dial indicator pushing down on essentially the cam lobe, and that lobe moving up and down determines your timing, because as your lobe comes up, plunger comes up, and that creates fuel pressure, which starts your combustion cycle, because that creates fuel pressure, opens the injector. Where was I going with this?
I don't know. You were teaching us.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I was listening. We're talking about the 100th,
what's next?
the timing. How much timing?
Yeah. So sorry.
This is how our brains work, folks.
Exactly. So if the cam is coming up, you've got a point that's called start of injection. So your start of injection is what you're looking for when you're measuring that plunger. So if you're talking about tenths of millimeters, when you talk about 5 millimeters of rack travel, that should translate over to that is a shit ton of rack travel, which allows that much more fuel. So the rack turns the plunger in the barrel, turns the barrel outside the plunger, which correlates to fill time and timing, basically. You start talking P-pump and it gets really fucking scientific, and I'm still learning. So
I think everybody is.
It's gonna start getting like over my head, which is gonna be over fucking everybody's head. So millimeters, really small.
Yeah,
inside P-pump, lot work.
Yeah. A lot work.
I like that. It's the more I hear people talk about P pumps in depth, like you just did, the more I'm like, I need to get a fucking P pump.
Yeah.
I swear, even if I just happen to get a P pump core or something like that, somehow my hands and get on my workbench, I just want to take it apart and start fucking looking at it.
Yeah.
And start watching things move.
There's not a lot in it, but it's like super intricate on how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the guy that thought that up was tripping balls.
It's more complicated than the engine.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Like you start talking about rack movement and the flyweights and freaking governor springs,
yeah.
and like all that shit, and it's all on shafts and springs. Like there's bypass springs on shafts so that the shaft doesn't go too far until it has boost to allow it to go far, and then like it's
Like a cutaway P pump would be cool to have.
oh for sure.
It'd almost be impossible.
I
There's
know,
so
but
many
nobody
things
wants
and
to do it.
Well, but they have so many different angles of so many different
Yeah.
things happening. You could cut half of it off and you'd be like, well, I'm still missing like
Yeah.
all this
Oh,
other
yeah.
action
Yeah.
over here.
Well, like you would need like the pump itself cut in half, and then you would have to have like the governor assembly cut in half.
Sub assemblies.
Yeah, you'd have to have sub-assembly because your automotive governor is designed to run on variable throttle inputs. So then you go to a tractor, and now you've got an ag governor that's designed to run at 1800, 1900 RPM, and it'll sit there and just carry that. You put it in a fucking boat, and a marine has a different assembly than an auto or an ag.
Yeah.
Like they all have, so like it's wild
Yeah.
just to try and keep up with all the freaking governor assemblies. So that's why when you get like an ag pump and you're like, oh yeah, you can't turn that up. It's because the governor assembly will not allow you to turn it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they ditched it for the VP44.
Genius.
Yeah, they were like, hey guys,
This is
let's
way
put this
better.
in. Let's put this computer on that's cooled by fuel and then not give it any fuel.
Yeah, yeah.
Idiots.
And then blow on it and it'll blow up. It'll cavitate.
Is it more reliable than the P pump?
No, not at all.
Does it want to see pressure? Actually, less than a P pump. Well, that's good. How much pressure? 15 and a half exactly. What happens if you get 15? Blows up. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We'll put it for 16. Blows up.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, so let's put the factory on it that at full throttle drops to 2.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
It'll blow up 8 times on the way down.
Yeah.
You know, at VPs, they're just going to become, that's a maintenance item.
Yeah.
You know,
And let's
every
make
100K,
yeah.
replace it.
Let's make them $2,000 a pop too.
But you know what? They'll be way cheaper in about
Yeah.
30 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, put
Well-
a computer in a VE pump.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to about wrap this one up. Unless I missed anything. Did we miss anything? I think we nailed just about everything.
Buy a good clutch too.
Buy a good clutch,
Put
yes.
a common rail in it.
For your 500 horsepower truck, assuming you're going with the NV5600 clutch, Andrew,
Valair dual organic quiet.
bam, you heard it there.
Or a South Bend. Very impressed with my South Bend.
Yeah.
The new ones, that new South Bend does not make noise.
I've been pretty impressed the last couple times I've installed one. They're actually not. They don't rattle. They're good.
You could not,
good.
like, if it was somebody else's truck and I jumped in it and they were like, oh, yeah, it's a dual disc. I'd be like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a single disc. Like,
It
it's
felt
so quiet.
It felt really good. I mean, right out
I
of the
love it.
box.
I'm super happy with it. Pulled the race truck on it before I pulled the head off of it. And it was,
So you were
It's great.
towing. You're towing in the.
oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I towed. Yep. Are you mad about that? Good.
Were you towing in your break-in time?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
He
okay.
didn't,
I'm
he
gonna-
didn't tell me a fucking fly. He didn't give me no
Okay.
break-in time.
I'm just gonna make a note on your little warranty.
Yeah.
Let me guess, he didn't tell you what fluid to run either.
No. We got MTL in it.
did.
It's got MTL.
Well,
so it's good.
it's 5 quarts of MTL and 1
MT90.
empty. That's all we could find
It's
locally.
literally like 20 weight difference. I
Yeah.
think that's the only thing different in it.
Yeah.
The closing
It's all
argument
good.
I have about dual discs is if you've been searching on forums or whatnot or talking to people and they say, oh, dual discs are chattery. Yeah, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
10,
Yeah, they were
yeah.
noisy as fuck. Both Valair and Southbend have done a lot to make those things a lot quieter, even just from 4 or 5 years ago. So if you're talking to anybody or you're driving in a truck that had a Southbend installed or Valair 5, 6 years ago, they're even quieter now.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Way
even
quiet.
so, get over it.
Yeah.
You're driving a truck.
It's
man.
a fucking
12
Cummins, right? It's
a
noisy.
tractor.
Yeah.
Not as noisy as a 7.3, but still.
And a lot of people attribute the horrible noise in a G56 to the clutch. It's not the clutch's fault.
Yeah.
It's the transmission's fault.
Yeah.
It's Mercedes' fault. Blame Mercedes.
Goddamn German engineers.
Mercedes. Well, that's going to wrap this one up, folks. We greatly appreciate you guys listening and tuning in. And Logan, we appreciate the question. That's probably way more information or way more of an answer than you ever wanted.
Massively over
It's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. And long story short, we're looking forward to your project. And for some reason, we have learned that Tyler is really good at catching flies and cups.
Stage 2. There's a stage 2 injector.
didn't know.
Just so you know, that's what it looks like.
We have
Right there.
one.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
It's like a little, like a
I
cigarillo.
do think the flies are starting to revolt though, and they talk to the other flies
they have.
because there's
They're
been a couple
getting
of
angry.
escapees, and they're
I
they
don't
feel
know.
like they're being a little more vicious right now.
Oh, and Andrew, thank you for the bottle of Kilburn.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
The official, unofficial whiskey of the founding of Long Range Gear.
Hell yeah.
I dig it.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna
Appreciate
say
it.
Is a Wyatt drink?
But yeah, it's Wyatt's fault. Yeah, he introduced me to that, and I fell in love with it.
Okay. This is going to be a topic on one of our other podcasts too. But Wyatt, I greatly appreciate your comment about pressure relief valves. We're going to dive into that deeper because I think my video on pressure relief valves came off different than we originally intended.
Yeah, that's a whole nother video.
That's a whole other video and a whole
Yeah.
other section of topic on there. But that's another story for another day. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Ah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and check us out at dieselpowerproducts.com.